I've been playing these videos of farmers crying over the a horrible situation. You guys know that China, a foreign country, there's this international trade thing that Donald Trump has completely fucked up. And now we're in trouble. Here's Brooke Rollins' response to that.
That alongside, of course, the president's effort to realign America around American products and making all of these new deals, we are at a point where we're looking at the harvest, where we're looking at our soybean, corn, wheat, sorghum, cotton farmers who are facing very, very difficult times. We are currently in conversations here at the White House, across the government, on a farmer aid package. In our current programming right now, we've got about $13 billion moving out under ECAP, which is our old farmer payment system based on losses from last year and the year before. So this would be in addition to that, in partnership with our colleagues on the Hill. We should have an announcement very soon, perhaps in the next couple of weeks.
Well, isn't that crazy? It's the golden era. The economy's booming. We're the hottest country in the world. But for some reason, the Ag Secretary, Brooke Rollins, just said that they're putting together some kind of an aid package for farmers who are killing themselves. Literally, people are committing suicide based off of the economic turmoil and situations that they're now facing based on Donald Trump's foreign policy and trade, his tariffs. Why would we need some kind of farmer's aid package if things are going so well?
Okay, so the halting of the cattle trade with Mexico, and a lot of Americans don't know that we get so much of our beef from Mexico, but we do. So it's drastically reduced compared to the first half of 2024. So we've bought 63% less live animals from our southern neighbor.
That's right.
So is there a concern that our costs are going to continue to go up because affordability is a big issue for American consumers? I was just at the grocery store this morning. Yes, I go to the grocery store. Thank you very much. And there were two steaks. Yeah. It was $33 for two steaks at the grocery store. And these weren't fancy steaks. They were just like, maybe they were little filet mignons. I don't know, but they were little. Yeah. $32.
So here's the thing. We talked about eggs months ago when the price of eggs were so high. The problem, the challenge, I'll say, with our cattle and our beef industry is that it takes 2 years from calf to slaughter. But Laura, here's I don't know if it's the silver lining, but the long-term vision. Just like our manufacturing that we have offshored for years that you've been such a leader on, we've also offshored our food, our beef cattle, our citrus. So much of this we're now importing from other countries like Mexico. This is a massive flag for our country. If we can't feed ourselves, this is a national security issue.
Laura Ingraham wants to brag to you that she actually goes to the grocery store. That should be an indication to realize the elitist people that we keep listening to tell us that our lives are great. She's bragging that she goes to the grocery store because, why would I go to the grocery store? Do you know who I am? They don't want to be around all of you common folk. Side note. But Brooke Rollins went on there talking about beef. And also, Laura Ingraham started by saying a lot of Americans don't know we get so much of our beef from Mexico. Well, why would we start trade wars with those countries where we get so much of our imports from? Let me tell you who Brooke Rollins is. Just a quick side note. This woman who says they're putting together this aid package for farmers because we're in the golden age for some reason, this is who she really is. This is her job.
Part of this effort to represent the farmers, the ranchers, the agriculture industry at this moment in time, which I do believe we're in a revolution. 1776 was the first one, 1863 or so with Abraham Lincoln was the second. This is the third with Donald Trump leading the way, and we are saving America.
That's Brooke Rollins' job, to kiss Donald Trump's ass. We're an American revolution. How about you calm down with your MAGA fascist revolution and go back to trying to do your job? You know what? I've got more because she had to answer questions about tariffs. This is back when he was implementing them and still saying he had all these deals going on. This was her really, really bad answer.
President Trump laid out with a giant graphic of all the countries where tariffs were going to be, what he called reciprocal tariffs, were going to be imposed. And you're imposing a 10% tariff on the herd in McDonald Islands. The herd in McDonald Islands have 0 human inhabitants. They have 0 exports. They have 0 imports. They do have a lot of penguins. Why are you putting import tariffs on islands that are entirely populated by penguins?
Well, I mean, come on, Jake. Obviously, here's the bottom line. We live under a tariff regime from other countries. We have too long
the McDonald Islands is not imposing
the idea that America goes first. I mean, come on. Whatever. Listen, the people that are leading this are serious, intentional, patriotic, the smartest people I've ever worked with. I did not come up with the formulas. I'm the ag secretary. I studied agriculture at Texas A&M. I was in a lot of conversations to make sure our farmers and our ranchers were part of that. The president recognized the importance of inputs. We got potash and fertilizer to make sure they could do their planting. But I have no doubt that I speak on behalf of President Trump when he would say he has the utmost confidence in the team and what they have built and what they have put together. And we are unleashing a new golden age, and we will see an economy that will benefit not just every corner of America, but our farmers and our ranchers and the people that have been left behind for far too long by both Republicans and Democrats.
Isn't that weird? That was like in April or May that Rollins then said that everything is going to be great, a new golden age. But now, just now, you need some help to these farmers that are, struggling. What happened between that golden age that she predicted and, the disaster that we're now looking at instead? Who knows? Who cares? Here's Kevin Hassett. He's talking about how he still doesn't give a damn about those tariffs. I want to remind you guys, this started on April 2nd. That's when then Brooke Rollins was then talking about everything is going to be great before everything wasn't. And then now still when everything isn't, Kevin Hassett's still saying like the same thing.
Therein lies the question in terms of whether or not that growth leads to ultimately companies passing on price increases. I mean, we haven't seen the inflation because we're looking at these numbers and they're low. But do you think at some point something's got to give, that companies will stop eating the tariffs and, in fact, start passing it on to consumers?
The way I think about it, I don't worry about that at all. And the way I think about it is last time we had inflation below 2 and really high growth because there was a supply side boom from all of the Trump policies. And so if you have a supply side boom, then you can have growth without runaway inflation. The way to think about it is suppose that productivity all of a sudden miraculously was 20% higher. Then that would mean the same amount of inputs are producing 20% more stuff. If there's all that extra stuff, then the price of the stuff has to go down. And so that's what it means. What we mean is when we say that if you have a supply side boom, that it could be growth without inflation, and that's what our expectation is. We think we're going to do it again.
Look, I've got to tell you, I just cannot believe that it took President Trump coming into office for a second time to get people moving their supply chains to America.
Really? Maria Bartiromo said she can't believe that it took Donald Trump coming in for a second term to get people to move their supply sides and have all this international business coming in. Watch.
How many companies have moved 100% of their manufacturing to the United States since President Trump took office? Well, the answer, pretty clear. 0. And we've looked at big companies and mid-sized companies and still came up with that same answer.
0. But Maria Bartiromo can't believe it took until Donald Trump's second term to come in and bring all this business to the United States, except for the number of that 0. Stop listening to liars, because their job is to lie. And then when you listen to them and allow them to continue lying to you, especially when it comes to things like this economy, you get screwed for it. That's why Kevin Hassett says, I don't care. Why would I care about prices going up on people? I work for Donald Trump. We're just, this cabal of a bunch of elite assholes who's destroying things and taking all of your money. Why would I care about that? You're here to help me lie so that people won't know what we're doing. He's not one of those people. He's Trump's new Fed governor. He's on this board. His name is Stephen Mirin.
And do you think that we will see a 3% growth number this year?
I don't think for this year that's quite likely because of the weakness in the first half of the year. As I said before, I'm optimistic for the second half of the year, and I think we've got a decent shot of a number like that for the second half of the year. And then going into next year, we may get numbers that are in that neighborhood as well. But for 2025, it's not likely to happen because of the weakness in the first half of the year.
I'm going to compile these facts Brooke Rollins says that they're putting together some kind of packages to help these farmers that they're screwing over. This guy on the Fed board that also still works for the Trump administration, he also said that the year is screwed. It's going to take us until next year. But somehow we're in a golden age. Somehow the farmers are doing better than ever. Somehow prices are going down. Somehow all these things that they've been lying about are true. I don't know how both things can be true at the same time, but this guy's going to tell you that you have to wait till next year. There's reasons why he tells you have to wait till next year, because who he works for is the guy who's also telling you got to wait until next year. But I mean, there's still a golden age.
We have all of these things are being built. Car companies are moving back. You know, we lost 50%, 54% of our, we were the automobile capital of the world. And all of a sudden it got robbed by China, Japan, Germany, all these countries. Those companies, they're all coming back now to the United States. They're building car companies and factories all over. They're coming back from Mexico and Canada. We lost a lot to Mexico. We lost a lot to Canada. They're all coming back because of the tariffs. Without the tariffs, a different story, but they're coming back because of the tariffs. And you're going to see that kick in probably in a year or so.
Mm-hmm. So,
but we're doing well anyway.
He literally did the same thing in 35, 40 seconds. Everything is wonderful. We're still doing great, he said at the back end, but at the same time, they're going to kick in a year or so. We've got 6 months. We've got beginning of next year. We got end of this year, and now it's a year or so. What is or so? Is that the rest of your term? Is that 2 more years? Is that 3 years? Is that forever? Who knows? A year or so, because, you know, he's an economic genius and he knows what he's talking about. I'm going to tell you the reasons why they've got this talking point that started with Stephen Moran talking about how, you know, this year it sucks. The first half sucked because Joe Biden, but then the rest of the back half of the year is also going to suck because Joe Biden. But then starting next year when things still suck, it's going to be Joe Biden somehow. Let me tell you why they've got their everything all coordinated. Moran's comments here that we were talking about, how he wants to have these lower Fed rates, even lower than what is it they put them at. They underscore the different perspective that he brings to the Fed's deliberations over interest rate policy. His appointment, here's the best part, has been controversial because he's kept his position as the head of the White House's Council of Economic Advisors while also taking unpaid leave there, which is raising concerns about the Fed's traditional independence from day-to-day politics. This guy is on this board of governors that he wants to fire Lisa Cook from, the woman that's supposed to be there for the next, I believe, 10 years or so. And he wants to continue putting on these type of guys who lie and carry all of his water for the disaster that he's putting on the economy while working in the White House at the same time.